All right.
All
Hello,
right.
everyone. Our faithful viewers, peepers, looker inners, wannabeers, haters. You know who you are, whichever category fits. Advocates, supporters, do-gooders. You know who you are. We thank you for tuning in to Citizens for Accountability and Governance CAG Chat. I like how that sounds. I like how that sounds.
Yes, I
So
love it.
yes, so here we are with another version, another conversation, another update. We are excited about all things coming in next week or so. We're thankful for how Sherman Hardy has jumped on this team even more. He was kind of with us anyway in conversation, but now he's taking on this big task of technology. We still working out some things. I had to sing "Come By Here, My Lord" just now, but when you do God's work, we always know the enemy gonna try to show himself, right? Right, brother Derek? All right.
Yes.
So, with all that being said, I am your host. I am CAG member of Reed. I know that kind of dragged out. I don't know where member went, but that's what I was saying. And we each have our own reason for being involved in this work to bring better governance and transparency to Prince George's
Mhm.
County and the state of Maryland. We're parents, we're professionals, we're community leaders, we're visionaries, we're innovators, we're get it doners. So we all have a reason for being here. And we're going to move a little bit away from what we typically do. And we're not going to try to intro with a headline or hit or miss because y'all, they done got smacked. They tired. I ain't going to tell nobody, but they getting a little bit tired. They so excited about all this to come. I think they need a break. So I'm going to give them grace tonight. And I just need to make sure I get the disclaimer stated. If that
Mhm.
is why we are all these things wonderful, we are not hecklers.
No, we're
We
not.
are people concerned about a better Prince George's County and a better state of Maryland. We are not attorneys. We are not legal aid people. We are not paralegals. We ain't nothing legal. But we got life experience and we have intelligence and intellect and we know how to read and we know how to ask questions and we know how to get answers. And so that's what we are grateful for you, those of you who are calling on us every day, every week to give you a little bit of a knowledge, to give you some insight and information. We are appreciative. We know that you are hearing us. Even though y'all should get into the comment section and give us some
Mhm.
love, send us a DM. It's okay. We ain't gonna tell nobody that you watched us. We know. So you know who you are, and we're grateful for that. And so everything that we share, in case I don't get to say it later, everything we share is public record. We have either paid to get it, we have either researched for it, and you can do the same thing. We might even share it with you. We all have a better Prince George's County and state of Maryland. So with that being said, I'm going to toss it over to visionary founder, non-heckler, good mental capacity, Tanya Wingfield.
At least I last checked, it was all mentally down. Well, before we go into this, I do want to make an announcement. This is on our page on Saturday, February 24th at 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Please join us. We are actually uh, doing this as a partnership, and it's a community listening session, and it's going to be held for parents and guardians of kids with special needs. We're going to have quite a few parents from Whitehall Elementary School, as well as the administration. We've invited those from special education, as well as from the 504 team for the school system. And we want parents to come out and share the information that their children are experiencing, those who are part of the autism program. So if you know anybody that has any child dealing with the special needs, they may be interested also in this listening session. We also encourage those parents from Pointer Ridge, because remember, Pointer Ridge is going to be the regional autism center. And you may have some of these students coming from Whitehall Elementary to Pointer Ridge. So this may be important for you also. So again, it's going to be at the Bowie Library. We will be there from 2:30 p.m. until 3 p.m. So please come out.
3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m.?
3:30 p.m. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
because
you.
the hour is already cutting it kind of close. But also before you start, I do want to
Hmm.
acknowledge our other core members, Derek Holmesley, give a shout out, give a wave, and Donna Goodman, who's off camera tonight. And all of us have life issues. So for those of you who know the word of prayer or who have believe in positive energy, whatever it is that gets you through the day, just lift up the Citizens for Accountability and Governance as we continue to do this good work. Because the more we do work, the more we getting beat up. But we gonna keep rising up. Keep rising to the top, baby. All right, Tanya.
Okay, Sherman, you ready? Well, okay, everybody. Last Friday we had our final hearing for the judicial review. And and so we got there. Dr. Juanita Miller was with me because we were wondering we thought maybe the judge may allow her to join the petition. But we had a 10-minute session and we were out. So the judge dismissed the request for judicial review. Now, what was so funny is the last few times when we came, there were a number of other people, there were other cases on the docket. We were all by ourselves. So nobody but us that were there. And when the judge began to read his opinion to make his decision, or his ruling to make his decision, he didn't look out in the court. All he did was look at the paper. He may looked up once in a while. He was talking very low. Man, you talk a serious inside voice. And then he just said that's the ruling of the court. Now, usually the judge will let the losing party know if they want to appeal, they can appeal. Mom, ain't say a word to me, y'all. He didn't say a word. So I just got up, said, "Thank you, Your Honor," and left. Well, let me show you some things about what this judge has done, because I have had some eyes look on it that have some legal experience, and they do feel that we do have a good appeal. And let's show you why. Okay, you ready, sir?
Yeah.
said in an email, she's inquiring if there is an update on whether the local board would be withdrawing its request for the removal of local board members. So here we go, September 23rd. They've had September, October, November, December, January, and they still hadn't sent the letter in writing. Sherman, let's go to the next slide.
All right.
So when they finally sent the letter on the email on the 31st to Shipley Horn, a couple slides here. Back here, they're saying we need a letter in writing. That's what they told him on the 23rd. We need a letter in writing. And then on the 31st, they're saying, hey, can we get as of on the 28th, February the 28th, 2023, when the state board met, there was only one decision, and that was that decision that they dismissed. And that meant that when I filed the judicial review, there was only two decisions out there: the local board to remove because it hadn't been rescinded, and the state board that dismissed their decision. And remember now, Shipley Horn had already said no decision was made, and Shipley Horn represents the school board. So that's one thing that one big error, because in a judicial review, the judge is bound by the certificate of record, and looking at that information, he totally ignored it. Now, he said I was barred by statute of limitation. Now, the rule is for judicial review, when you file it, it has to be filed within 30 days. And it does say it must be filed within 30 days. And then at that point, everything else is guided under Rule 7 for the circuit court. Now, the argument that Shipley Horn made is that I think it was like 1993, the courts took that authority away from the circuit court. But I had found case law after that where it was extended. And also, the judge actually, because I had a motion for the extension for that one day, which he granted. He had granted that, and he totally ignored that too, y'all. But anyway, it was based on the fact that if there's any issues that would be raised about any filing lates and let me just read it. This is in Rule 704, response to petition, and it says a person may file with the response a preliminary motion addressed to standing, venue, timeliness of filing, or any other matter that would defeat the petitioner's right to judicial review. Now, there is a limit, there's a time limit when they have to do this. And in our case with the judicial review, And Sherman, if you can go to the next slide. At this point, anything that he filed should have been definitely barred because it was after June 12th and it was never a motion for extension. It was a motion to uh, enter his appearance on behalf, and he said, of the respondents. And I don't know, because right now the respondents is not the local board. So if you can go to the next slide. So again, we just talk a little bit more about 7-204 that just lets you know that this is what get because all we can do is file the
You know,
complaint. Go ahead.
and is that just locally here in Prince George's County? Because I see different groups in multiple cities in red states who are religiously going and suing their school boards or their members, you know, in order to prevent certain laws from being passed or certain funding from happening or for a variety of reasons. So is that something that is just inherently a Maryland thing or Prince George's County thing? Because again, you know, I'm concerned where we have a state general assembly that is not, you know, that are missing so many things like this that is happening that we need to, you know, to work on. So I'll let you have it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the other states, but yeah, in Maryland, that's what ours is. Like, for example, if I were to just go and try to, if I were to would have taken these complaints and sent them straight to the circuit court to try to sue, I would have been told I didn't have, my case didn't have ripeness because I didn't go through the administrative process. So, so I'm not sure about other places, but yeah, I was told that's what I have to do in Maryland.
So it's all set up to keep the public from interfering in their agenda. And I think that we need to put together a statement, a document to show this process, no more than 2 pages, and send it to every sitting member of the House of Delegates and the Senate and say, you know, this is what you all have done. And it, you know, they're going to be happy too. We're back in the headlines. When the right person breaks the law for the wrong reason, and the right person decides they tired of that person,
Mm-hmm.
that's when we'll get attention. It's never
Well,
when
right now it's not our turn. Montgomery County getting it. So let's just keep the eye on them for now. It's their turn. You know, maybe if they had Edward Burris at that time, they probably would have been discovered.
you know, and in due season, you know, George Jefferson had his moment, and I'm sorry that I couldn't be there on Friday, but the fact that you said he was speaking in an indoor voice and there was no projection, even though there's a microphone on the bench, he knows that he's wrong. He knows that he was set up for the come up. And I just believe every dog gets its day. And we gonna take the L for Friday, but we gonna keep pressing for the W. And
That's right.
you know, I don't know where you were. I just bought it because I had to step away. But the fact that he contradicted himself by approving something and then saying, well, you know, and what did he say one day in court? Well, I can just decide I don't like that. I can just say that I disagree with that. It's no, and I'm just like the arrogance.
I'm just gonna say I don't remember.
and he's supposed
I'm
to
just gonna
rule
say I
by
don't
the
remember.
law. He didn't even look at my case law that was in there supporting why I could have it extended. He's just gonna and I'm telling y'all, everything I heard him read came right out of the motion that was filed by Dennis Whitley.
That's because I ain't gonna say they paid the man, but if I ever seen a pay to play in action, that one would definitely garner an award nomination. It may not have been true, but it definitely looked like a wink, wink, oink, oink, roof,
Mm-hmm.
which y'all done got me into. And y'all about to have this woman who ain't a lawyer, let's just say for the record, Tanya Wingfield is not an attorney.
Not a lawyer, nope.
Her attorney, you would want to hire her. You know, they set him up.
Yeah, but you know what? You still do the right thing because
You
clearly.
No, you don't do the right thing.
Well, you're supposed to.
Well,
And how could he say I don't have standing when you look at the process? He's going to say, first he said, did you ever give a sworn statement? I produced a sworn statement. Then he says, well, were you part of the state when the state in the local board? Of course, I wasn't physically part of it because they were acting on my behalf on my complaint. And then are you a member of the board? Then a member of the board asked to join the judicial review. I'm denying your motion.
And that's how we know that them backroom chats have been had because everything he challenged you with, you could check the box, check the box, check the box, and and because he's the judge. I'm
Right.
the judge.
Well, let's just say allegedly doing backroom deals,
Right.
because
Allegedly.
we
Yeah,
don't know who had
allegedly. But we do
conversations,
know this.
know.
He never asked Dennis Whitley to produce the evidence by an adopted resolution of the board, and that was required.
And it
Never.
It was discussed. Tanya brought it up, and he said, well, we're going to have to come back. We're going to have to come back. So, allegedly, I don't watch crime shows and investigative shows and did shows, but I am a writer, and I promise you that if I was writing a news story and some of these journalists, so-called journalists, don't do anymore, I would be going and asking some questions.
Mm-hmm.
Because Shipley and Horn, whatever it's called, this is just disgraceful. It's this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
To the respondent. Look who they put down as the respondent. Maryland State Board of Education. Whitley didn't.
On you. You know, when they get this, they're gonna be like, and why is he here?
We've done. Because we never got the dismissal. So just looking at this, I've had some legal eyes saying you got a good appeal. This judge did not follow the law at all. And and now the other thing, that 11-minute or 12-minute order that he gave in court, he didn't send me a copy of it, y'all. This is what he sent me right here, his daily sheet for for the docket entry. So I'm like, well, how can I file an appeal with this? So I called the circuit court and I asked them, where's the copy? They said, this is all the judge sent us. Maybe this is his order. And I said, ma'am, he sat in court. I sat there for 12 minutes listening to what he had to say. I need a copy of it. She said, well, call the judge's chamber. So I called the chambers and I spoke with the person in this chamber. I told her what was going on. And she says, oh, so you want the order? Yeah, because I certainly can't file an appeal with a docket entry. I have no case law. I have nothing to say what he didn't do right. So she said, well, I'll call you back. I'll probably get back with you this afternoon. Of course, I haven't heard from her yet. Now, he filed this on the 20th. This was dated on the 20th. My case was on the 16th. He certainly had a lot to read from on the 16th. Why couldn't he just send that to the clerk? So now his action is delaying our time because we have 30 days to file an intent to file an appeal. And so now his delay is delaying the ability to go ahead and file the appeal.
Can you notify them that you made a request for the order and that it's not come in and you're requesting that for every day he misses filing it, that that's another day you get to respond?
Well, see, I don't know because I need to. I'm still trying to look at all the rules for filing, but the thing is, I still got to file my letter of intent, and there's some other
I mean,
things
it
I want
should
to look.
be when the date should begin when it's filed, not necessarily once it
It's
ends,
usually
because
when it's entered. It's usually the
Mhm,
date when it's entered. So I got to find out some more information to see if that's the case.
mhm.
That's
But it makes no sense to me. He had a lot of pages he was reading on Friday. It wasn't like he was just pulling it out of thin air and talking off the top of his head.
I would love for us to be able to subpoena what he had on his bench.
Well, he has to. I have to have a copy of that ruling.
But whatever he was reading from, if it was as brief as you said it was, what was all the other pages?
Well, well, when I say brief, I mean compared to all the other hearings that we had, the other two. But
But he covered so much in 11 minutes, so.
Yeah, well, he was just reading from the paper. He was reading right from the paper, and everything I read, I was like, okay, I read that in Shipley Horn's motion to dismiss. Oh, I read that in his opposition. I was just like, I've heard all this, but you did not read anything that I wrote as to why I could have it extended under that 7-206. I heard nothing as to that.
That's what I want to hear it, Tanya. You was messing up the game plan. The game plan was that you was a heckler and your mental capacity was questionable.
Was just questionable.
You did not understand the law. And then
Right.
I asked you who was helping you write your citation. This is the tipping point. The tipping point happened when he let you know that he had read enough to come back and question who's helping you write your citation.
Right.
He said no one. He says you're not an attorney, you don't practice law. And you said no. He said, well, you have very good, some well-written citations. And that's when he probably was looking at them like, you done set me up and I don't appreciate it. So now I got to go and figure out what I can do to get myself out of this mess. But he didn't even realize he's the one that signed for the judicial review to happen. That right there should be a problem. How do you reject your own decision?
Exactly.
Wait, LaVon, are you saying the judge had to get his lick back?
Yeah. Yeah, he was embarrassed. My thing is, you She pointed out that he was going to sign the approval to go forward, even though it was 1 day late. He
Yes.
approved that. So he got egg on his face for being messy and sloppy, and then he was mad because they set him up and told him this gonna be the cakewalk. What did they say? Oh, Your Honor, we'll need 5 minutes.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Why do you steal that business with me? See, the what do they call it? The smoking gun is this, and this is Farrar. If Bradley Farrar had walked away from that agency, from that firm, and said, "No, I'm coming in as a person of whatever is called a petitioner," what I'm judged.
Yet and still, Dennis Whitley, who should not have been there because he was violating the attorney code of conduct because he was representing the 2 different clients on 2 separate claims, well, in the same case, but 2 separate claims. And clearly he did, because clearly all the judge had to do was go back and read Bradley Farrar's email that was in the certification of record that clearly said a decision has not been made. Circle back with us. Oh, they didn't want to circle back. And think about it. They didn't want to circle back because Dr. Miller's decision was coming out soon. Think about it. Dr. Miller's decision would have come out that next month. So
he was looking at that thing going, "What you talking about, Willis?" That's how that judge was. That judge was, "What you talking about, Willis?" I'm moving on.
Can I interject? Can I interject
Go ahead,
something?
Derek.
Go ahead, Derek.
We're making light and we laughing about this thing, but this is very serious and it hits home for me because, and I'm sure it does for Donna, because people who have gone through the judicial process and spent money through lawyers who are paid and bought off or forced to represent themselves per se, as Ms. Wingfield did, the citizens in this case. And when you're intelligent enough to read and to understand your case and to present your case, I think it's a slap in the face for a judge or for the judicial system, period. And I hope you guys are watching, that you discount people who are per se just because they don't have Esquire behind their name, or they haven't studied to go to law. You wrote laws, you have case studies that have been told that you have to use to present your case to be applicable to the law for the judge to make a judgment. In Prince George's County Public Schools and that court system in Upper Marlboro, people have gone through their time and time presenting evidence of their cases and excellent information pertaining to their cases, only to be discounted because they're not an Esquire or because you have a corrupted mindset of what you're going to rule on and dismiss before they even come to court. Stop wasting people's time. Stop telling the United States of America we have a judicial system that we can get justice in, and you do not put in place what you have written in the Constitution. And for African Americans, we get smoked in the justice system, even when we present evidence that we're innocent, or we have evidence that upholds the case and why we're presenting the case. The fact that we're representing ourselves per se has nothing to do with whether what we're presenting abides by the law. Y'all need to stop that stuff.
So yes, we making fun of it, Derek, and the reason why I'm making fun of it has zero to do with anything that anybody's gone through. The reason I'm making fun of
I understand that.
Right, but I need the viewers and the listeners to understand. The clown show begins and ends with your tax dollars. So when I say that he looked like I felt like I was watching George Jefferson and JJ in court. People relate to that. They understand the characterness of it all. If that's a word, is characterness a word? Y'all let me know. And you have to sometimes allow people to have visuals. And George Jefferson was a flubbering person. He always wanted to sound important, sound like he knew what he was talking about, but he was foolish. And that's what's happening in Upper Marlboro. When you tell somebody that I'm gonna treat you like an attorney who's not an attorney, and he recognized that he crossed the line with
Had me
that
break
one.
the law. Look, he told me to practice law without a license, y'all. This is a judge telling me that. Practice
Right.
law without a license.
So he
See, for me, it's a little different. My grandparents or grandmother taught me, or I saw growing up that sometimes you have to laugh to keep from crying. And sometimes a lot of things that will happen in this county is a crying shame.
It is. It's a crying
Yes.
shame. And the thing about it though is we want to continue to perpetuate this image of African American affluence and intelligence. Then can we get off the plantation? Can
No.
we stop
Yes.
talking to each other as though we don't have Esquire behind our names, MD behind our names, BS, AA, MF, whatever? I'm sorry. Forgive me, y'all. But y'all know what I mean. Now, my people out there in them streets, they got their accreditation too. And when I'm in that courthouse, every single time I've been in that courthouse, I run across somebody, a young brother, complaining, cussing on the phone, talking about how disrespected he felt. Why they made me come in here and do this? They still made me pay. I done lost money in my job. I heard one guy cussing out his baby mama. I ain't giving you a so-and-so thing. I dropped $5 and they can't lock me up for that. And I'll make sure I put $5 in that account every week. And you keep on messing with me. People go into court looking for reconciliation
and relief.
And when you say that our children are the future, and when you say that we've got to represent, that means whatever it takes, we're gonna do it. It would have been fine if he had just decided, you know what, Miss Wakefield, I'm going to still stand with the agreement that was. It is, it is what it is. But show us that you studied it, that you read it, ask some questions. This is an imbalanced review. You know why he couldn't ask Dennis? And I'm intentionally calling him Dennis, JJ. You know why he didn't ask him no questions? Because he would have incriminated himself.
Yes. Yep. I agree with that.
He could not ask him any questions. And that was the deal. Get her out of here and let's try to do it as quickly and as easily as we can. He could not. That man opened himself up so many times just in the 2 sessions I was at for questioning. And so I'm just like, dude, you need to retire. He should just retire. Because the bottom line is, after watching him in all those previous cases, we ain't the first one that's gotten jacked up. He don't respect.
If there's anybody out there, anybody
right.
who has gone before.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, when we left out, there was some comments made about the person who was there before my case who left, and before that there was some remember there was the gentleman there the week before, but anyway, there was always something questionable about something that he said. And then for him to sit up on the bench that day when this one attorney, she said, well, Your Honor, when I write this motion, should I make it to you? He said, doesn't matter, you can make it to it. We're in a pool and I'm number 9, I may get it. That was his attitude to her.
Yep, because I'm getting a check because they tried to roll me out of here saying that I wasn't harsh enough on young people. And then they realized that we had nowhere to put the young people if I had put them in jail. And then we realized that we probably would have to incriminate some adults if I had put them in jail. So what y'all gonna do with me now? I gotta take a call. Hold on. Y'all keep
Yeah,
talking.
it was it was a very it was obvious. Everything was just obvious what was going on. He knew Dennis Whitley should not have been there. Like Levon, all he had to do was ask one question. Mr. Whitley, do you have a adopted board resolution of from the board saying that you are to represent in this matter as a respondent? Never asked him. Never asked him. And all he had to do was look at the certificate of record and he would have saw that it was clearly said on the 23rd of September, if you want to do this, it has to be in writing. And as of the 31st of January 2023, they hadn't submit anything to the State Board of Education. That's in the record.
Representing ourselves in the court. Go ahead.
He is bound. The law tells him he is bound to go look at that record. And he is supposed to look at that record first and look at all the testimonies and all the papers and evidence that have been submitted to support what's in the order. He just looked at the order and listened to Dennis lies. Yes, I am saying he lied in open court. Yes, he did, because he was never asked to come by the board. He was asked by the board chair, and she needs to resign because she is wasting our taxpayer money. This is not on the job training. We thought that she was going to be able to do it. This job, she can't. She needs to resign, or these board members sitting around here watching our taxpayer dollars being wasted need to go in that back room. You're always going in that back room doing something, paying illegal bills. Go in that back room and vote her out. I'm calm, y'all.
But back to this judge, Tanya, is he's the very person, or the judge is the very person that holds the plaintiff and the defendant accountable. Who's going to hold him accountable? You just disrupted and ran interference in a whole case where there's evidence there for you to make a sound judgment, and a dismissal was not a sound judgment based upon the evidence you were presented. Something needs to happen to him. He needs to be reported to the bar. He needs to be reported to his adjudicated officer or whoever's above him. And they got to stop this stuff, man.
And Derek, just like you said, one of the things that instantly popped in my mind with your case and my case is when they, following the process, we were supposed to be is supposed to have been voted on by the board as to what our status was. There was never a board meeting held. And that information in either one of our cases, and that information was not presented to the court. And we could even show in my case, I requested it on multiple occasions. When did the board vote? How many members were present? How many yays? How many nays? And they refused to present that information because it never happened. And they were able to go into the court and ignore the judge ignored that information. So it's been this didn't just start. This has been an ongoing process of how they eliminate people from. That's right. Good. Yes.
Because there's no if, ands, or buts about this case. Everybody knows that what Dennis Whitley, and shame on the board, because they knew they were given the same evidence. And all this board had to do, only one person continues, Dr. Juanita Miller continues to take our tax dollars serious. All those board members sitting up there, all milly mouth. Now, I don't expect the three who are about to be removed to say anything, but there were still enough board members to come up and say, you know what, Shipley Horn, either Dennis Whitley withdraws, or we're going to cancel your contract. Because one, and then he had the nerve, the audacity on Friday when Dr. Miller and I are leaving. She asked him, "Are you on board time?" Yes, yes, ma'am, I'm on board time. Billing our tax dollars to perpetuate his lie. To currently on there now, don't know the board policy. They don't take the time to learn, and I don't know if they want to say being ignorant about it would alleviate them not following. I have no idea. But the bottom line is this: we gave them detailed information. Same detailed information that we just showed in this PowerPoint presentation is like what we gave to this board back in August. This should not have never gone this far. Here we are again, board members sitting around doing nothing, not fulfilling their fiduciary responsibility, and now here are more of our tax dollars wasted because of a chair acting illegally. And when I say chair, Judy Mickens Murray acting outside of board policy. Here we remember Dr. Miller, all the money that had to be paid for her defense, and rightfully so, was because of board members sitting around, mouth just like the cat got their tongue, not holding their fellow board members accountable. And this mess about the judicial review, I'm sorry, Curtis Valentine, you ought to be ashamed of yourself because this is the mess that you caused, taking a vote without really reading the information and getting the information right. Just listening to everything in the wind instead of listening to what's right and reading for yourself. Because if you had not cast that vote, even though you were asking for your vote to be rescinded, you didn't even read the information properly. And it's sad. It's so embarrassing that all these educated people with all these advanced degrees, it took a judge coming out of what is it, Hunts Valley, looking over all the evidence, because the board could have gotten a legal opinion. They could have got a legal opinion on that OIG report, but did they do it? No. And here comes the judge, comes and says he looks at this. He says, "Look, this report isn't competent evidence." The IG, I can't even figure out how the IG came to some of these conclusions. The IG didn't even include reports that it mentioned in its findings. But instead, what we do is we run around saying we're all fluent, so highly educated African Americans, and then all you do is go run and repeat what you hear in the wind. Go ahead, Derek.
And Tanya, to piggyback on that with Dr. Juanita Miller, the judge specifically said in his rebuttal on her case that she was the competent one. She was the one that was trying to do the job right. The other people were basically a dog and pony show trying to set her up. And this same proven person who's trying to do positive for the county goes in the courtroom with you Friday as the former board chair who should hold some clout, and her word should hold some clout. And this judge would not even allow her to participate because they don't want to hear the truth. So by not having her participate, I guess he felt like he wasn't obligated to do anything other than dismiss, because I haven't heard anything else. And that's deplorable.
And that's not to mention, Dr. Miller wrote a letter to the judge explaining to the judge that Mr. Whitley was never given the approval to participate in this and that he was going against their decision. She gave the judge a thorough rundown, just like what was in that PowerPoint, in a letter, and he still ignored it, every bit of it.
But when you, like you said, when you go in for cases against the school board and it's on their side, they'll let anybody who's got anything that jives with their position in the case speak or be involved. So if you're going to talk about justice, have justice on both sides of the coin.
Well, you know what, Derek, it's not about that. In our state legislators, I definitely hold you all accountable because you all have the real teeth to hold our school boards accountable. You have that authority under the Maryland Constitution. You write these laws, and you need to stop writing these half-baked laws dealing with our school system, these little carve-outs that are just to appease people, or we're going to make sure everybody gets along. It doesn't work like that. You write down the rule and everybody has to abide, and there's consequences for not abiding. And the other thing, don't tell us in our Maryland Constitution that we have the right to redress our government, and then you write laws that undermine it, or you use things like precedents and you use things like case law to undermine it. Don't tell us we have these rights and then you put all these things in place that usually we aren't going to see until the judge starts. We're looking, because we're not attorneys. So what we're going to do is we're going to look up the laws, we're going to look up the rules, and that's how we're going to respond. Then you all come out with the rabbit out of your hat with the well, case law says and precedent says, and come on. If you're going to make this an even playing field so people can do things pro se, then do it. But don't play these games, these mind games with us, and don't think that we're not smart enough to see.
Right. Wow. Sorry I had to jump off, but I know when a certain person calls, I have to engage because we got to keep the engine moving down the railroad track. Engine number 9.
Yes.
So, do we have another topic for the night?
That's our topic for tonight.
Well,
and let's
before we decide on moving to the next topic, I definitely want to take the opportunity to offer a gift card. It's a gift card giveaway right now. We have some trivia that we're going to play, and the first person to answer this question will receive a $25 Amazon gift card.
Now wait, Sherman, they have to answer it on our Facebook page because the chat.
Oh, in this chat.
Oh, in the chat, not on Facebook.
Yep.
So we have
and this live, they have to answer it.
Oh, do we have people watching?
I am not sure. I haven't checked, but we will see whoever that first person is, and they whoever answered it correctly, properly the first time will definitely get it.
All right. What's the question?
So it's
Well, wait, does
right
that
now.
include us?
No, sorry.
Oh,
All right, so we have a trivia question today, guys. I hope that you all are not Googling right now, but you kind of can pull this answer out. But if you do, it's okay. Who was the first African American delegate to the Maryland General Assembly in Prince George's County? Was it Ulysses Curry, Irma Dixon, Berta Welcome, or Arthur King? And again, this is for a $25 Amazon gift card. Go ahead and leave it in the comment inside the chat, and we will be checking to see who is the first person to answer this question correctly.
Oh, wow. I got that one right out.
Don't raise her hand.
I'm excited. See, I told y'all we're doing some new things.
Yes.
We were just one and done. This journey is far from over. You better get ready for the ride. Because let me remind you all, before we go any further, this is going to be our, I guess, free thought for the next 15 minutes or so, since we don't have a topic per se. So, May 14th is the primary election day. I don't have all the early voting dates, but May 14th is huge. I hope y'all voting for Biden. Do not jeopardize my rights as a Black woman in America, my children's rights as Black people, Black men, Black women in America, other people's. Let's just focus on the immediate need, and that is to make sure that we do not end up with a dictator. Okay? Somebody who's friending our enemy. Now, don't get me caught up in international policy decisions and why we do what we do. I don't care about none of that. I'm talking about America. Right now, America. As I posted on Facebook, I showed how the Black community in Los Angeles was divided and destroyed because they put a freeway through it. And it's something that's not new to urban areas, but I was not familiar with what's called Sugar Hill in LA. I knew about Sugar Hill, but I didn't know that it was basically demolished. And I posted, so they use bulldozers instead of bombs. Because it reminded me of what's happening in the Gaza Strip. And you can say what you want, believe the Bible, not believe the Bible. I'm not arguing that. What I'm arguing about is inhumanity and people suffering for the choices of their leadership. I don't want to suffer for the people that y'all be voting for because of the people y'all vote for. And if you vote for that 45 black men, black women, that don't really know nothing, you better go find somebody that knows somebody and understand that you wouldn't have been nobody if it not for the people who came before you. Y'all get me? Y'all feeling me? Y'all down? So anyway, May 14th, other than the president, then we have here in the state of Maryland a very competitive run for U.S. Senate to represent Maryland. Larry Hogan threw his hat in 2 weeks ago or so, or was it a week ago? I done lost track of time. 2 weeks, 2 Fridays ago. And so it's changed it shifted the paradigm of the race. You know, the Democratic candidate is sitting Representative David Trone from the U.S. Congress, who represents Montgomery County up to northwestern Maryland, and then our current county executive. And tonight I won't go into it, but somebody printed a story, and I posted on my Facebook page. It was about when Angela Alston-Brooks was not going to run for governor. And in that, she said that she wasn't running because she wanted to finish out her responsibilities to the people of Prince George's County. That ain't why she ain't run. But that's not for a conversation tonight. But what I will say is, and I won't
I'm gonna stay out of it.
You said you're gonna stay out of
Yeah.
Because you have destroyed our county and taken everyone else's accomplishments and crowned them yours, and you're just gonna skip out on us. And nobody has a problem with that. Nobody has a problem with her not fulfilling any of the promises that she made to Prince George's County, neither setting the groundwork or framework for us to advance. Granted, you know, some of these projects that he talked about, the different purple lines, blue lines, and you know, all the other things that you know we have going on in the county, those are already on the books in Plan 2035. You know, but you know, there will be a conversation to be had about assisting with keep getting the FBI here and so many other things. But just so everyone out there knows, right now we are still reaping the rewards from previous county executives. The policies and whatever plans that our present administration have implemented or thought to do, we have not realized those gains yet.
do we know what that
And you know
was?
it.
You
Well,
said feel the promises. All I know is she said at her first inauguration that she got that back. I got your back. I got your back. And
well,
I
she
don't know
said
what
that. Well, this time around, the 2-day trash day was not on the platform, but having safe communities because the county executive said that she did not feel safe in Prince George's County, and that's the reason why she ran for state's attorney, and where she was able to decrease crime by 50%. Now, that has not been fact checked, you know, for the veracity of that statement. Crime could have, you know, declined within that time, but the measures and the process that has, you know, that it took to get there, we don't know the veracity of it. You know, I have seen clips, and I wish I brought it up during that campaign, or during the time that we were the county executive was running then. You know, she stated, you know, that in order to solve our problems with carjackings and crimes and property theft, you know, she was going to be working and creating programs with the District of Columbia and other municipalities within our area. But if you're not able to um, not reciprocate, if you're not able to recreate the same type of results that you did the first time, you know, I call into question that. what is different now? Because you also did a curfew, but I'm not going to, take the people all the way down this path. We know exactly what happened, but it's time for us to educate the rest of the community and let them understand what's what. But I'm gonna get off this horse for now. But I'll just say that, bias or not, because I ran against the county executive, I truly believe that we're being left in a worse shape, and that you're running from all the problems in Prince George's County to secure your forever seat.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because once you
Yeah.
become a senator, United States, you're there for pretty much, for life.
So
Yeah.
As
how
we've
old is
seen a
she?
lot of these other people,
Was she 50?
early 50s.
So let's say she's 53. So if she were to win, which we know she will not win. I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to do that. So, okay, if she were to win, and we'll say she's 54, just for the sake of easy math, because math is not my thing. In 10 years, she'll be 64 years old. She will have served one full term and 2/3 of a second term. She has an ad that completely is ageist, where she calls out the seated senators whose average age is 64, that they have earned millions of dollars. And when was the last time they went grocery shopping? I was like, let me see you in the grocery store so I can stop you and ask you some questions. So I guess she's planning to only serve 2 terms, because then she can retire in 2 terms if we do the math, right? So I think it was so distasteful. And then my question on Facebook was, well, if age is a problem, why didn't you run against Steny Hoyer, who's 84 years old? Instead of having him run her around the state or the county, like he's she's his protege.
Right. Right.
And he gonna crown her senator. Why are people so hell bent on handing this chick another opportunity? Gonna talk to me about first black nothing, first woman nothing. She ain't got nothing on her home cards that says what she accomplished. The reason because she was a first lady. But not like us. So stop it. So what? You got a teenage daughter. I'm not gonna go down that path because I don't believe in messing with people's children. So I'm gonna leave that one right there. She ain't the first person to have a child and not be married.
It won't be the last.
So I'm gonna leave that there. Right, and she ain't gonna be the last. But what about being a single mother made your leadership, your position so different? Where are the policies and for
Listen, we need to cut the BS, because I'm tired of that. And I'm sorry, Levon, I don't mean to cut you off. But to say that you live like us when you live in a gated community,
that's where I was
when
headed.
you never had. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's not gay.
Your children didn't attend PGCPS.
No, and you had door service in a black SUV every day to go to the uptown school that the child went to. You are not like us.
Your child didn't go to school in the county.
Right. You are not like us. Okay, so God bless your aging parents. I've always enjoyed saying hello to her parents. But guess what? You ain't doing nothing different. Tell me how you helping the people who taking care of their parents and they can't even feed their children.
Right.
You got 3 generations of pressure. You ain't got that issue. And I know for a fact you don't have that issue because I was in the county executive office when Rashard Baker's wife was going through Alzheimer's. And he would get up and speak and he would say, don't feel sorry for me because in the position that I have a team helping me. He said, most people don't have half the support that I have. I have insurance because I got into this position. My children have a village. I have services. He had to turn people away and say, go help the other folk.
Right.
So it's not enough to say you got a story. It's what you do with the story.
And can I add something what Shirley was saying? Creating a mess and running, because and we'll talk more about this later, but those 2 bills, that, I am so sick and tired of county executives doing these sneaking night runs to Annapolis and putting in bills that are detrimental to us. This to ask for this these tax funds, the telephone tax, and there's one other one, to be that money to be redirected so it no longer goes to the schools, but it goes to the county. And I saw something where it said, well, we could use it for the county can use it for maintenance. First of all, let's remember the history of those bills, why that money is going towards the schools. The whole purpose was to make sure telephone tax so long. I think people have forgotten about it. That eventually
effort.
Yeah, but I think people have forgotten that we have to pay an extra. Not Montgomery County, not Howard County. They're not paying that extra on their cell phone tax. We've been paying it for years. And it was done specifically to fund schools. Why would we want to take and then you're just
I'm
that's
just
what
throwing
your
that
job
out
is
there,
supposed to do.
as just a figure. But if you take that out, then what are you going to replace that line item with?
Exactly. And why do you to make up for the mess that wait so many things? Maybe have to be trying to figure out, well, why do you so desperately need to take this money from our school system and move it over into the county?
The new buzzwords are, it seems to be, because of the blueprint, we have more responsibility. Oh, I thought the blueprint was so awesome and so amazing.
And
now,
but how many years have you known about this?
Right, exactly.
But how many years have you known about it?
Right, it ain't nothing. So the last thing I wanted to say is, because that these people who have aligned with her are in anticipation of her start there with my county executive, there were two articles. There was an article out about their fundraising status. Now let me tell y'all something. It takes more than a couple of hundred project. What's it called? He said he'd get back to me, and he didn't get back. On Monday, they had a huge press conference with these nonprofit business people, and they announced this new initiative to deter crime among youth, and there's going to be matching money from some businessman. You know, people are reaching out to him to donate money. When I was doing the SYEP, the youth program, we tried to initiate external funding. And when I tell you the objections we got coming off of the heels of that previous administration, and y'all gotta be careful, y'all gotta do this, y'all gotta do the other. Well, let me tell y'all something. We stood, if they didn't want to have a student on their premises because of liability concerns, or they were too small to staff a youth person, whatever, make that commitment for 6 weeks, they could pay for a child's salary, which was $2,500 at the time, for a 6-week pay period. We set that up, and organizations, businesses paid into it. When I tell you that this administration has turned county government into Verizon Center, Comcast, everything has these huge sponsorships, folk is fundraising. I ain't never seen nothing like it. I thought you had to spend what you bring in. So it's so questionable.
So you can't spend what you ain't got.
Deal in budget season, and you stand up here announcing to come up to be county executive. Stop playing with people. People are hungry. People are homeless. People trying to pay their bills. We don't need to keep creating new Robin Hood, as Tanya says, new Robin Hood initiatives. If you're not going to do a wraparound, holistic outreach opportunity for the children, if you are dealing with mama and daddy situation at home, then guess what? You gotta pray for that child and hope that child makes it from day to day.
That's right.
Because another program that has no funding on the other side of it is just failure. Exactly. Great opportunity to get the people in the room. Look, I ain't against helping young people, but we got how many nonprofit organizations that are already getting funding that you could have sat down with and said, what's the possibility of adding a crime deterrent training or program to your organization, and we will provide you with funding for this amount and da 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 da. I don't know. They didn't invite me in the room. Maybe they tried it and it didn't work. But what you're not going to do is keep campaigning using government.
Wow, that's
that or the other on government property. So the second article, the reason why I brought that up was because they did the fundraising article on Calvin and Aisha and Jolene and all of that. And I'm just like, can we have some sensitivity here? We got to address the business at hand, and that's the fiduciary responsibility of council members, period. And there's no law saying that the successor for county executive should be a state's attorney first, because the two jobs have nothing to do with each other. And I'm gonna put a pin on it when I say this, and I'm glad that I was led to this point. The reason Angela can say that she reduced crime is because she was state's attorney when Rashawn Baker was county executive. The state's attorney has absolutely zero authority. They have less conversation with the agencies than the council members do. Zero. Rashawn Baker said, and for y'all who know me and know my backstory with Baker, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Wink, wink. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna go ahead and say this because it's bigger than Rashawn and me. This is about the people of Prince George's County. I have always put the people of Prince George's County first and foremost. Rashawn Baker had an open government. He would bring together his agency directors and state elected. He has no jurisdiction over the sheriff. But Sheriff High showed up every week. If not Sheriff High, one of the deputy chiefs came. Deputy sheriffs came. Angela was given the same opportunity to be present in those cabinet meetings or other meetings related to crime or anything else, or she could send a designee. They work together as a unit. Agency directors, deputy chief administrative officers, and the CAO, which is the Chief Administrative Officer, the person who is in charge of the county if something happens to the county executive. Angela benefited from the group think of that process. And when you print that you reduce crime by 50%, it is misleading. It is a lie. Because if you did it as a state's attorney, you sure as hell should have been able to do it as a county executive. But you know why Rashawn Baker was able to reduce crime by 50%? Because his name is in this story about who running for county executive. You know why he was able to do it? Because he had something called the Transforming Neighborhoods Initiative, which was an award-winning program that they presented across the country to county executives across the country, to professors, to researchers. And it was a holistic program that was based on data. You had to be a certain reading level, education level. You had to live near a metro station. You had to be within a certain health status. You had to have crime in this community. It was 6 areas. And the schools became part of it. It was the first time that people said we were able to do something that was the school system, higher education, agencies, nonprofits, businesses, everything. And that is what reduced crime and Prince George's.
Wow, our fearless county executive,
Oh, okay,
who, by the way, is missing an action in the county.
Nah, she was at the ribbon cutting today for
Angela also, I'm a proud daughter of Prince George.
So that, I'll just say why you're getting it set.
I was born
That
here,
is
raised here, and this is my
behind
home.
reducing
I
crime.
am a
And I
graduate
believe
of
you give
University
credit
and
where
University of
credit is
Maryland
due.
Law
I don't
School.
just
But more
credit that she was
importantly, I am
there,
the mother
but
of
it
an absolutely
was
beautiful 4-year-old daughter who is growing up in this community, like many of your children and grandchildren, a community that is very different than the community I grew up in. My daughter does not enjoy the same sense of security that I enjoyed growing up here, and it is not okay for me. So I stand before you tonight, and I am prepared to serve. Public safety and education are the absolute fabric of our community. And unless we reduce recidivism, and unless we address education in this county, our quality of life will diminish. I am an experienced prosecutor. I've practiced for 14 years, practiced law for 14 years in this county. I spent 6 years, almost 6 years in the state's attorney's office. I have extensive experience in prosecuting serious felony cases, everything from carjacking, homicides, rapes, murder. I am an experienced prosecutor, and I know how to try a case. I'm likewise, I've been very blessed to be an administrator. I've been executive director of the Prince George's County Revenue Authority. For the last 6 years, I've worked collaboratively with this community and many other communities, along with public safety, police, fire, Department of Environmental Resources, to increase livability in our community. I'm here tonight, my philosophy around prosecution is quite simple. I believe that a prosecutor must be firm and must be effective. We've got to address violent criminals. They must be incarcerated. There's no doubt about it. We ought to send the signal that crime in Prince George's County will not be tolerated. We likewise ought to respect people's rights. Justice is extremely important, and we ought to send the message as well that we protect rights, that we respect rights. And so I ask for your support, and thank you again for allowing me to do that.
I guess Michael Patopi didn't commit enough crimes for her.
I'm gonna say one more thing, and I'm gonna let somebody else have the mic. It would be nice if we had a record of what her prosecutorial wins and losses were. It's fine to say you prosecuted stuff, but a lot of people said she didn't. She didn't have the experience. And I'm glad to hear that she acknowledged the 8 years in the Johnson administration, because on her palm card is no evidence that she did anything for 8 years between being assistant state's attorney and a state's attorney. So it's nothing in writing on that. But I just need people to understand that there are roles and designations between the county executive's responsibilities, the state's attorney's responsibility, and the council member's responsibilities. And they are intentionally blurring the lines to validate themselves as candidates. Because if you don't do that, they have no real credit to stand on to be county executive. Because the county executive's job is oversight of the agencies. It is to be the spokesperson for Prince George's County's interests, is to create opportunities and to create revenue. Revenue is one primary responsibility of the county executive. Create revenue. And you have to, the only thing, somebody told me the only thing, and I read the charter, but I can't tell you what it is. The real only responsibility that the county executive has legally is to present a balanced budget.
Mm-hmm.
And after
Yes,
that,
I've heard that.
they can go do whatever they want to do. They can travel, do whatever. But I'm sorry, she's not the best candidate to represent us in the Senate, and her record says it on its own. God bless y'all.
Molest kids with special needs who are nonverbal, but that's for another show.
Yeah, we're gonna dedicate a
Yeah.
show to, we're working on our rundown. We're gonna bring you all up close and personal as much as we can. When I say personal, I don't mean in people's homes or whatever, but into what is happening. You can't believe the smoke screens. Technology is too simple to access information for people to say they don't know. They didn't knock on my door. But didn't nobody knock on your door for you to go buy your house, buy your car, birth your baby, whatever decisions you made. Didn't nobody knock on your door.
Mhm.
So we're not going to just hand this election over, y'all. We got work to do.
So I got the video. Let me go ahead and play it.
Angela also Brooks, the first
I'll
woman
close
to
this
be
out.
elected state's attorney, was officially sworn in yesterday evening. We're in Upper Marlboro for the story.
With her 5-year-old daughter by her side, 39-year-old Angela also Brooks took the oath of office in front of a packed courtroom. She took the time to reflect on why she got into law in the first place. Her great-grandfather was murdered alongside a road in Seneca, South Carolina in 1956, soon after her family moved to Maryland.
There was never any justice for J.C. James or for my family. But today, I stand before you, prepared, fully prepared, to take the oath of office.
Also, Brooks has served both as a litigator and as an administrator. Most recently, she was in charge of the Revenue Authority. Before that, she was the county's only first full-time domestic violence prosecutor. She was an intern under now federal judge and former state's attorney Alexander Williams, who saw her passion for public service early on.
There will be those victims out there who feel that the office let them down and did their best for them or didn't do their best for them. There will be defendants out there who will feel they are the victims of injustice. There will be law enforcement officers who will be unhappy with some of the decisions made by the state's attorney or the office regarding their cases.
The state's attorney's office in Prince George's handles more than 40,000 cases a year, and there are about 75 attorneys. Baltimore City, which handles the same amount of cases, has 300 attorneys.
These prosecutors get paid less than prosecutors in Washington in particular. So
is it hard to recruit some good prosecutors that can come in and take over some of these complex cases?
Recruitment can be a challenge. Retention is the real challenge.
It's clear she comes to the office of state's attorney during.
Well, that was enough. I just wanted to definitely highlight the parts where it says, her accolades. We definitely need to delve into that a little deeper.
And we'll coordinate our efforts and intelligence with prosecutors and police in Prince George's County and the District of Columbia by sharing information about violent criminals who are active in both jurisdictions.
Now, also Brooks says she also wants to get.
So yeah, I mean, we just heard part of that plan, what she has to decrease crime by 50% allegedly. So these are all things that she did most recently as well. So with that being said, I definitely don't want to belabor the point. I also want to make a mention that, of course, when you see something, if you um, work in government or you are just a regular round the way person that sees something wrong with governance, fraud, waste, and abuse within Prince George's County, don't hesitate to contact some of the agencies that we have listed. I'm going to redo this so it'll look a little better. I see it's blurry on certain parts, but you have the option to contact many of the agencies here in Prince George's County, as well as with the state. And if you just want to reach out to us and report something or have something that you want to bring to our attention, there's our tip line, 301-338-8212. Don't be afraid to give us a buzz. We definitely appreciate you all for taking that step. We hope that everyone will become courageous enough to step out and when they see something, say something. So once again, on behalf of everyone here, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight on CAG Chat. We hope that we've inspired you to take action and to speak up when you see something that needs accountability. Remember, in all thy getting, get an understanding. Good night and stay informed.
See, I wasn't expecting to go in, but I'm just tired of
1 minute.
lying.
1 minute.